Welcome back, everybody. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the Ether channel guidelines needed to definitely be known to get the Ether channel to work operationally correctly. You'll find that Ether channels can be very finicky when it comes to getting them up and running, and that is why we are going to be basically touching as to why we need to go in there and figure out what they've got going on and what it is that we need to make sure that is in check before we actually go configure them. Also, I went ahead and I attempted to create a layer 3 port channel in respects to using the no switch port command at the interface level of the member interfaces and the port channel itself. It will not work. Firewall does not seem to support the layer 3 port channel, but we can have SPIs on both ends of behind the port channels and then use that as a layer 3 adjacency connection. That does work, but we'll take a look at that in actually configuration. So I'll show you how to configure it, but it won't work. So when you're configuring all ports in Ether channel to operate at the same speed and duplex, so you need to make sure that they're all 1 gig full duplex, 100 meg full duplex. The reason I keep saying full duplex is because the fact that you want to be able to send and receive at the same time, and if you set it up that way, then you'll be able to meet that goal. Now, an Ether channel is agnostic to the underlying port configuration. What this means is if the port channel is going to be bundling links, the links that it's going to be bundling have to be the same type. So whether that's a trunk link, whether that's an access port, a layer 3, it does not make a difference. What needs to happen is that all links in the port channel on both sides agree on what's going on. Now, when you're going from a port channel configuration where it's a trunk link, then both links will have to be port channels with allowing multiple VLANs to cross the trunk links. An access port is going to allow just a single VLAN to go across. Layer 3 obviously means that we're going to be enabling the no switch port command at the interface level and going from there. So not a whole lot really that's required, but there are certain stipulations that need to be in place. The next one is we need to make sure that all ports in the Ether channel to the same VLAN or configure them as trunks. So ports with different native VLANs cannot form an Ether channel, because what ends up happening is you have a bunch of individual consistency checks that go back and forth. You know, is the speed and duplex correct? Is the member interface configured as a trunk link, but the port channel is considered to be dynamic? So there are several individual checks that need to be completed in order for the port channel to correctly configure itself and come up and run. An Ether channel supports the same allowed range of VLANs on all ports in a trunking layer 2 Ether channel. So what this means is if I'm going to be sending traffic across the wire, I need to make sure that if I'm going to allow VLANs 1 through 10, then VLANs 1 through 10 need to be allowed across that port channel. So again, consistency. So whether you're going from in between two different switches and you're trying to bundle the links, like basically what we're going to try to achieve here in the upcoming video, or whether or not we are trying to accommodate a single access port down to, we've got 2 switches and we want to be able to, or we've got 1 switch with 2 connections down to a server, and that server is just an access port for us to connect to. Regardless of the end state, it needs to be set up correctly. Now, I've got an actual live example of how this works. I had to actually go in here and restart my session here. So let me go ahead and log in as. If we do a show Ether channel summary, I have a port channel up and running. Now this connects from my home switch, which is a 3750G switch. I have ports gig 6 and gig 17, and they are connecting downstream to a ESXi host. So if we do a show CDP neighbors, you're only going to see router 2, which happens to be the router that I am connecting to for the internet. The 2851, nothing too extreme there. If we do a show interface trunk, port channel 1 is going down there. So all I've done is I've gone through and I have set up the encapsulation correctly. I've got the port channel up and operational. If we do a show run interface port channel 1, I simply turn it on. If we do a show run interface gig 1/0/6, there's really nothing here that's extremely interesting to see. The key factor here is that the port channel and the physical interface, those trunking configurations are the same. We don't have the underlying interface in dynamic mode and the port channel in static. So when we get into the actual configuration, we'll take care of this. Now, the reason why I don't have any type of negotiation protocol here enabled is because the ESXi host that I am peering with is running on a vSwitch, a standard vSwitch, and that standard vSwitch does not support LACP. So if we were going down to vCenter server and I wanted to form a port channel from there, that is a different situation altogether, and that is something we can take a look at in more detail later. Well, actually, I won't even be able to demonstrate that because none of the configurations will allow me to do that. So I don't have the ability to actually demonstrate that for you guys. So just to keep that in the back of your mind. So that's the underlying understanding that you need to have. So speed and duplex, the same operational mode, trunk or access, the same VLANs going across, the same native VLAN, and the same VLANs allow that across that trunk. As long as all those individual components are in check. Now this is for, the bulk of this is for, so the first one up here, the first bullet item, this is for layer 1, for DTP and layer 1, layer 2 negotiation. That's where this comes into play. The remaining ones are for all layer 2 operations. Now, layer 3 operationally, it doesn't make a difference because the fact that when we're taking a look at this, the layer 3 port channel, it's just going to be a routed interface. You can enable the routed interface capability in VIRL, however, it does not work. So we'll take a look at that briefly. I'll show you guys how to configure it, but it does not work. I can't ping across the port channel. So it's a lack of support to my understanding. No big deal. And to be a completely full disclosure, all I do at the port channel level is type in no switch port. That is it. So I did that. It didn't help. It goes to a routed port, but it goes to down, and it actually breaks the port channel, and makes it difficult to work with. So it does work, but it's not. I'm sorry. The commands take control plane and data plane forwarding are broken at that point. So it's not a supported configuration. That is pretty much it for the guidelines video. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys, and we'll catch you in the next video.